Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Leo relationships part 2, and this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Some of you may remember in the part 1 series I did on the zodiac signs and relationships, it was really more about specific relationships for the zodiac signs, given what would be the probable zodiac signs on the house cusp in a solar or natal chart for the zodiac signs. But this one is more generic and about really how the zodiac signs act in relationships, generally speaking. And this one is going to be, again, about Leo relationships in part 2. So anyway, well, in relationships in general for Leo, they could be, of course, very magnanimous and very generous. Leos can be very giving in relationships. They really, whether it may be on a monetary level or through their actions, just being there for others. Now, Leos, though, can be very extravagant. If you're in a shared resources situation with Leo, whether it could be a business connection or it may be something where Leo may be a significant other, just remember that they often like to buy, the things that are more expensive name brands. Leo can often have a very tremendous difficulty of living within their income. And the thing I notice about Leo too is interesting. Leos seem like they could be fairly noisy. They might be the most noisiest of the zodiac signs on average, and it seems like even just general mundane tasks, just everyday things, they seem to be a little bit noisier than average. I had a grandfather, my late grandfather. He had a Leo sun. I don't know his ascendant because I didn't know his time of birth. But it seemed like even the most simplistic tasks, he would be very noisy. He'd be looking for like one pot or one pan, and it would just be like you'd hear clang, clang, clang over and over again. It would just, whether it be closing a door, it would just seem like it'd be pretty loud. And then just something, I don't know if it's on a subconscious level with Leo or what have you, but maybe because, it's interesting because the sun, as many of you may know, rules Leo. Sun is connected with life. And it's almost like maybe they just like to have this noise, at least on a subconscious level. It kind of makes them feel alive. It reminds people that they're around and that they're alive as well, I think. I mean, Leo doesn't make any secret when they enter a room, of course, because Leos, of course, can be very magnetic and charismatic. And if you're living with a Leo, the odds are he or she's going to be a little bit noisier than average. So that's just something to take into consideration. Now, Leo, again, going back to the extravagant thing with them, some of them could be borderline compulsive spenders. And again, living within their own income can be difficult. Now, but at the same token, if you're going out with a Leo generally will not be a cheap date. If they're the ones paying the bill, they might take you to a fairly, upscale place, and they may not have a problem with whatever it is you're ordering there. Now, Leo, like Taurus in their relationships, can be very loyal and steadfast and very dedicated and devoted in their connections. Now, Leo can often be the ones that will stand up for their friends, and when many others may be too timid or apprehensive of doing so. And the thing about with them, they are, whatever activities you may be doing with your Leo friend or significant other or what have you, they often will have an abundance of energy, ruled by the sun, connected with vitality and energy. Leo energy may nearly be indefatigable and inexorable. This energy obviously can be applied in their close friendships and romantic relationships. And really, they do really, as far as playing, the games they might be interested in playing with their friends or a significant other, what have you. They can be once connected with being the performer or showcasing their abilities. Performer games, I would say, are like the video game Rock Band or Def Jam Rap Star, I believe it is, or Guitar Hero, and really because they like to be in doing something where they're shining, where they're performing, where they can stand out and really strut their stuff, so to speak, and showcasing their abilities, even though these are like being a simulated performer in these games that I used as an example, perhaps, but especially maybe the Guitar Hero. But the thing about it is too, I mean, Leos can have that gambler in them and some other things they might enjoy doing. If you have a Leo friend, like playing online slots, or there's a game called Wits and Wagers, a board game. And also too, sports may interest Leo as well, because this is another way that they could showcase their abilities and flaunt what they're able to do. Leos can naturally be very exceptionally showy, and they really want to show others what they're able to do. So, and also too, I mean, Leos, of course, can be very extroverted and gregarious. They may not get on too long with a more introverted, introspective sign, say somebody like a Capricorn or even a Cancer or Taurus. And it's funny, I had a Leo friend one time. He had asked me, actually Leo's Sun and Ascendant friend, and he said to me, why are you so introverted? I mean, he looked at me kind of quizzically. He couldn't understand. Well, if I could have given him close to a 2-hour dissertation on my natal chart stating why it's so introverted, and, you know, preponderance of planets below the horizon, Saturn in the 12th, the fact that I have a Cancer Sun and a Taurus Ascendant, and all those things, but I just spared him the verbiage, and I looked at it like, well, you know, I just thought it was kind of funny. I felt like, you know, it's really because I don't have the strong extroverted chart he has, given that he has a Leo Sun Ascendant, and I think he has like 7 of the 10 planets on the top half of the chart, his natal chart, and above the horizon. Now, yeah, they're really, Leos are not really into like the homebody thing. They generally like to go out more. They're not really what you would call very introverted, generally speaking. And two, again, I mean, Leos can have a very loud and boisterous personalities. They might even be in for a rancorous debate every now and then. Many of you sports fans out there might see the show First Take, and Max Kellerman is one of the hosts on it, one of the people on the show, and he has a son in Leo. And really, they're just the type. I mean, Leo personalities can be very disputatious, argumentative. I had a Leo rising friend that even said to me that he said that he even acknowledged he has an argumentative type disposition. But and the thing about it is too, if you're a person that thrives on peace, quiet, and tranquility, well, Leo may not be the person for you. The thing about it is, and really just doing and just their general actions, again, doing mundane things, they just tend to be a little bit louder than most. They can be some rowdy people too. And the thing about Leo too is just be careful. I mean, Leo is not exactly the most sensitive sun, because they do have a lot of self-assuredness and confidence and self-esteem and in what they can do in their own abilities. But the thing about it is, if you do happen to hurt Leo's feelings, they might not show that they were hurt on the surface, superficial. What they may actually do is maybe pout and sulk in seclusion and solitude, and not show that they're hurt in front of you, suppress those feelings in front of you due to their excessive pride, and it may prohibit them from showing those feelings to you of being hurt. Keep in mind that the zodiac sign Cancer often falls on the 12th house cusp in a solar or natal chart for Leo. Now, the thing about it too, as far as Leo goes, that Leos are really, I mean, you talk about the loud personalities they can have. They are, I mean, ex-NFL coach, many of you may have heard of him, sports fans out there, Bill Parcells, has his son in Leo, and likely Leo moon, depending on birth time. If he's born at a later time, he could have a Virgo moon. My feeling is his prize moon is probably in Leo as well. I would not be shocked or flabbergasted if he does have a Leo ascendant on top of that. But I mean, Leos have a very strong presence. They have strong command. They're often very good in leadership positions. I think, I mean, you talk again, going back to Leo being ruled by the sun. And the sun is about life. And I think Leos can often make, it's not just the leadership positions, but even specifically, they could be good coaches in life, and whether it's a sports coach or life coach, because they are about life and they can have that revitalizing and rejuvenating energy. It's similar to Scorpio in a way, because the zodiac sign Scorpio, as many of you may know, one of the planets that rules Scorpio is Pluto, and Pluto can be about regeneration and rebirth, but it's more connected with transformation energy with Scorpio, and bouncing back, I think, from like being resilient, bouncing back from adversity, inspiring others to do so, and going through a rebirth process. Whereas with Leo, it's just about really giving people that life and that exuberance, that zest for living, and giving them that, they seem to give them that energy from that sun. They seem to really be able to revitalize others and give them that extra spark they need in a lot of cases, and it really can equate to motivation, and they could be very good coaches. So I'm continuing now with Leo relationships part 2. The thing about Leo is they can be as far as connections with children, they could be very good with children. Keep in mind that Leo does correspond with the 5th house in astrology, and of course the 5th house is connected with children. And they could often have a good rapport with them and be very good parents, though Leos, of course, can be very domineering and controlling, but nonetheless they could be very strong parents for their children. And the thing about it is, well, if Leo does get mad, it will be often done with a lot of ferocity in a very vociferous manner. It'll be similar to a lion's roar. The thing about Leo too is, okay, they can get mad quickly. I don't think they're quite as easily provoked as Aries, but they're not far behind. I think Aries probably is the easiest to provoke in the zodiac, as far as the zodiac signs go. Leo, generally, I don't see them as being vengeful or vindictive, but the thing about it is, if you do, a lot of times, if you get Leo to a point where they're really angry, in some cases, they may not respond, but what they'll do is they'll give you this protracted, maybe sometimes an infinite silent treatment. I had one Leo sun friend, and then there was another that has a Leo ascendant. And I had 2 instances when we had some falling outs. And one of them had blocked me, the Leo Ascendant one had blocked me on Facebook. And this was someone that I saw as a lifelong friend. I saw him as one of the best friends I may have ever had. And I thought it was a trivial, insignificant dispute, actually, and he wound up blocking me. And I don't know if maybe I hit a nerve with him, and it was his pride or something happened with that. But he wound up blocking me, and it's been like over 6 years, I believe, and I have not heard from him since. And then there was another person there was some dispute over some game on television. We were watching a college basketball game. And it had something to do with me not agreeing that I thought, as far as maybe who I thought the best college basketball team was at that time. And it was just something over that. And I got irritated with him. I told him to just leave, because I didn't want to hear him anymore. And he had walked out that door. And once he did that, he walked out of my life, and I never, we really haven't talked since then. So, and that was that was about 8 years ago. So the thing about it is, though generally, as I stated before, Leo's not being really vengeful or vindictive. However, if you do hit that one nerve with them that really irritates them to the point where they feel that a reconciliation may not be possible or what have you, then they may be walking out of your life forever. So it's really, sometimes you've got to handle Leos with a little bit with kid gloves. They're not like exceptionally sensitive, say like a Cancer or Pisces, but they may be a little bit more so than maybe they show superficially, I think. So And especially say if somebody has a Leo ascendant and they have like a much more sensitive sun sign, then of course they're going to be more on the inside. They're going to be more sensitive than what they're actually expressing. So anyway, now the thing about it is too that Leos in a relationship often want an abundance of attention. And the thing about Leo is if you don't give them that generous attention, or if you don't respond to them sometimes right away, they can become a little bit more exasperated quicker on average, I think, than the other zodiac signs, because they might take it more as a personal slight. So, I mean, that has been my experience anyway with Leos. And the thing of, and really, like if you act like you're oblivious to them, or they feel like you're ignoring you, a day goes by, say they may write you on social media or what have you, and you don't respond to them, that might bother them a little bit more, I think, than the average person. They may think, well, what's this person doing? Why am I being ignored? This can't be happening. So they take it a little bit more to heart, I think, than the average person, because they see themselves. I understand Leo being very self-assured, very confident. They hold themselves in high esteem. They feel that if they're going to contact somebody, you need to respond to them at a certain point in time. So, and the thing about it is, Leos again can be very domineering. And they often thrive on being the dominant ones in the relationships. And they could be very authoritative, and even sometimes with their good friends. I had a Leo ascendant friend one time. He was helping me move from point A to point B one time. I was doing, I was moving from one apartment to another, and he was telling me, he was dictating instructions to me. Finally, it was, grab this item, grab this. I said, well, hold on a second. This is a team here. I said, I don't remember my exact precise words, but basically, you don't have to be, ordering me around. There's no supervisors here, my friend. We're both working. We're just doing this together, to accomplish a task. So we're on even ground. So, but anyway, the thing about Leo too is that they are generally leaders, and even the ones, like if you're in a work relationship with Leo, and even if the Leo happens to be in a subservient or subordinate role, they could often exhibit a very strong leadership qualities, and those leadership qualities can often rub off on others. And Leos are generally in control of situations. So even if there's a crisis situation or emergency, they often will be able to stay in control of those situations and know what needs to be done. And the thing about Leo too is that they can have somewhat it can be about over dramatization. I mean, even if stepping on a tack or something where the average person would just be like, oh, okay, it's ours, and just keep going. Leos will often react. Something about their reactions I've noticed are a little bit stronger too, which can make them difficult sometimes. When you think it might be something that might be somewhat insignificant, they may respond, and you might perceive it as an overreaction, responding a little bit stronger to it than you think most people would. So that's something to keep in mind if you're in some relationship with, whether it's a close friendship or if it's you're in a romantic relationship, it's a significant other situation or what have you. So anyway, people, well, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Leo relationships part 2. Stay tuned next time where I'll be talking about Virgo relationships part 2. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.